GIA concepts. Just you need to remind you, or just you need to remember you that GIS can be used as tool. GIS can be used as a tool in both problem solving and decision making process. Geographic information system. Geographic information system can be used as tool in both problem solving and decision making process, as well as for visualization of data in a spatial environment. So why we need to use both as a tool, both as tool in the problem solving and decision making process. Why we need to use this GIS as a tool in both the problem solving and decision making process means for visualization of data, for visualization of data in spatial environment, in spatial environment. The geospatial data can be analyzed to determine geospatial data can be analyzed to determine the location of features and relationship to other features, the location of features and other relationships, the location of features and relationships to other features, where the most and or least of some feature exists, where the most and or least of some feature exists. So the density of features in a given space, the density of features in the given space. What is happening inside an area of interest? What is happening inside an area of interest? So what is happening? That also will able to see whether inside an area of interest or what is happening nearby some feature of phenomena. So all will be seen or all will be analyzed to determine and how a specific area has changed over time. How a specific area has changed, over time. So these are the few points can be analyzed to determine the location of features and the relationship to other features, where the most of some features are exist or least features are exist. Next, the density of feature in given space. Next, what is happening inside an area of interest? What is happening inside an area of interest? What is happening inside an area of interest? Next, what is happening nearby some features or phenomena? What is happening nearby some feature or phenomena? And how a specific area has changed over time. The first one is mapping where the things are. You need to see that here We can map spatial location of real world features. We can map the spatial location of real world features and will able to visualize the spatial relationships among them. We can map the spatial location of real world feature. We can map the spatial location of real world features and visualize the spatial relationship. Visualize the spatial relationships among them. For example, we'll see them in the below map. In that map, we have fraction mine locations. We have fraction mine locations and sandstone area in Wisconsin. Sandstone areas in Wisconsin. We can see visual patterns. We can see visual patterns in the data by determining that. We can see visual patterns in the data by determining that frac and mining. Determining the frac and mining activity. Fraction mining activity occurs in a region with a specific type of geology. In a region with a specific type of geology. We need to see the diagram for that. See, here is the fraction Wisconsin sites. Just you need to remember this slide. So in this we have mine and processing plant sites. Mine and processing plant sites. Compiled in July 2011. From interviews with the country and company officials. So when the mine and process plant sites compiled in July 2011 from interviews with the country and company officials, the company websites and the Department of Natural Resources permit records sandstone identified with assistance from the Wisconsin Geological Survey. Sandstone identified with assistance from the Wisconsin Geological Survey. So in that we need to see that we have active 16 active areas, we have regions, we have under development, we have 11 regions, proposed regions we have 14, and that yellow indicates that light yellow indicates that sandstone area of possible interest to fracs and minerals or miners. You need to see the diagram carefully. The second one is mapping quantities. Mapping quantities. People map quantities. People map quantities such as where the most and least are, to find places that meet their criteria, or to see the relationships between places. So under the mapping quantities, people map quantities such as where the most and least are, to find places that meet their criteria, or to see the relationships, between places. For example, we need to see the map which is mentioned in the below. So below is a map of cemetery locations in Wisconsin. The map shows the cemetery locations as dots. The map shows the cemetery locations as dots, dot density. And each country is color coded to show, to show where the most and least are. So while seeing the color code only, you will able to know it where we have a most and least cemetery locations in the Wisconsin. We will able to see that. So in the below map, we will able to see all this. You need to see the map. So in that we are mentioning. So the countries will be mentioning like in the dots, like see red dots. You need to see the diagram carefully. See here, we need to see this here. This color indicates that giant count is 4 to 19. This color indicates that 4 to 9 count, and this color indicates that this color indicates that this indicates that 20 to 34 count. 20 to 34 counts. And next, this color indicates that this one, this indicates that this sender indicates that 35 to 47 countries. Okay, and next, this color indicates that this 48 to 63 countries. This indicates that 48 to 63 countries. This one and this. And the last one is 64 to 89. This color indicates that 64 to 89 countries. 64 to 89 countries. This. Okay, so this is the diagram for mapping quantities. Then next, the third one is mapping densities. So in the GIS concept, so we have a 6 points, right? The first one is, what is the first one? Location of features and relationships to the features. So we discussed the first one, that only. Okay, that only here. Mapping where the things, this locations. And the next one is mapping quantities. That only we are discussing here. Mapping quantities, where the most and least of some features exist. That is mapping quantities. Then next is the mapping densities. See, the next one is density of features in a given space. Third one is density of features in a given space. That only we are going to discussing here. Mapping densities. Sometimes it is more important. This mapping density is sometimes more important to map concentrations. So sometimes it is more important to map concentrations or a quantity normalized by area or total number. Sometimes it is more important to map concentrations or a quantity normalized by area or total number. Sometimes it is more important to map concentrations or a quantity normalized by a area or total number. For example, so below we have mapped the population density. In the below slide we have mapped the population density of Manhattan. This means that total population counts normalized by the area in square miles of census tracts. Total population counts total population counts normalized by the area in square miles of census tracts. We need to see the diagram for that here. You need to observe the diagram carefully first. So in that we need to see the different layers. First we need to see the rivers and streams. Rivers and streams, you need to see that first. So this indicates that this color indicates that ocean. This is ocean background. This and all. Here we have ocean, sea. This is the ocean. This and all ocean. See, we have like this. This and all also ocean. This and all. See, this and all ocean background. This is ocean background. Here we have yellow, right? This yellow indicates that the population square miles. That population square miles of census tract. This indicates that 0.02 157. 1 square mile, this much population will be available, 0.02 157. For yellow, where we have yellow, so that indicates that the population square miles of census tract is 0 to 157. Next 157.1 to 1493.9, light yellow. It's the light yellow is this one only. This indicates that 157.1 to 1493.9. This is the census tract at 2000. Census tract at 2000. And this color indicates that states. This color indicates that states. This and that indicates the states, right? Fine. Next, this color indicates light. This. So this color indicates that. This color indicates that 1494 to 3656.4 of population square miles census of tracts at 2000. Then next color is this. Next color is this. This indicates that 3656.5 to 7639.8. 3656.7 to 7639.8. Next color this. This indicates that population around 7639.9 to 17518 to 17518.5. Then the next color is 17518.6 to 35308.9. The next dark color is indicates that 35309 to 60019.2. Then the last one is dark color. This indicates that 60019.3 to 24464.8. 24464.8. Okay, you need to see that. And the next point is here, fourth point. Here the fourth point is finding what is inside. So in the fourth point is what is happening inside the GIS. So that only now you need to see that. The fourth point is here, what is happening inside an area of interest, AOI. What is happening inside? What is happening inside an area of interest? An area of interest. Finding what is inside. Finding what is inside. We can use geographic information system to determine what is happening inside an area of interest. So we can use the GIS. We can use GIS to determine what is happening or what features are located. We can use GIS to determine what is happening or what features are located inside a specific area or region. So that tunnel will be able to finding or determining with the help of GIS only. So which will be helpful for finding where features are located inside, what features are located inside a specific area or region. A specific area or region. We can determine the characteristics of inside. You can determine the characteristics of inside by creating specific criteria. So how you will able to find out, how you will be able to find out or determine the characteristics of the inside of the inside of the area of interest. We need to creating a specific criteria for finding characteristics or for determining characteristics. So if you create a specific criteria, then to define an area of interest. If you creating specific criteria to define an area of interest. Example, in the below map, below is a map showing a flood event. Below map is showing that a flood event and the tax parcels and buildings in the floodway. Below is a map showing a flood event and the tax parcels and buildings. Below is a map showing a flood event and the tax parcels and buildings in the floodway. We can use tools like clip to determine which parcels fall inside the flood event, which parcels fall inside the flood event. That will be determining with the help of a clip, tool to determine which parcels fall inside the flood event. So that will be seeing in the below slide. Further, we can use attributes. Of the parcels. We can use attributes of the parcels to determine potential costs of property damage. Further, we can use attributes here. We can use attributes of the parcels. To determine potential cost. We can use attributes of the parcels to determine potential cost of property damage. You need to see the diagram for finding what is inside or what is happening inside area of interest. Inside what is area of interest? See. So this is the flooding area. You need to see that carefully. This is the flooding area. Then the fifth one is finding what is nearby. Finding what is nearby. Fifth one is what is happening nearby, some features or phenomena. Finding what is inside, then finding what is nearby. What is nearby? We need to find. See, we can find out what is happening. We can find out what is happening within a set distance. We can find out what is happening within a set distance of feature. We can find out what is happening within a set distance of a feature or event by mapping what is nearby using geoprocessing tools like buffer. So we'll able to find out the what is happening within a set distance of a feature. Within a set distance of a feature or event. We'll able to find out within a set distance of feature or event by what? By mapping what is nearby. By mapping what is nearby. By mapping what is nearby using geoprocessing tool. Using geoprocessing tools like buffer. With the help of geoprocessing tool like a buffer, we'll able to find what is nearby. We'll able to map by event. We'll able to map by event what is nearby, which is finding by using buffer. By using buffer. For example, below we see a map. For example, in the below slide, we see a map. We see a map of drive times from a center location. We see a map of drive times. We see a map of drive times from a central location. We see a map of drive times from a central location in the city of Madison. In the city of Madison. We can use streets. We can use streets as a network, and you need to add specific criteria like a speed limit and intersection controls to determine. So here we'll able to use the streets as a network, and you need to add a specific criteria, and you need to add specific criteria like a speed limit and intersection controls to determine, like a speed limit and intersection controls to determine how far a driver can typically get in 5, 10 or 15 minutes. How far a driver can typically get in 5, 10 and 15 or 15 minutes. This will be mapped courtesy of UW extension. So with the help of streets also, we will specify the criteria, or we will able to add a criteria like a speed limit and intersection controls to determine how far a driver can typically get 5, 10 or 15 minutes or 15 minutes. First we need to see the diagram for that. See, this is the diagram for regional driver or regional drive times from downtown Madison. Downtown Madison. Just you need to see the diagram. Yeah, first we have here Middleton, Greenway Station, West Town Mall, Verona, Fitchburg, Hilldale Mall, Scorewood Hills, Maple Bluff, Downtown Madison, East Town Mall, Monona, MC Forian, Cottage Grove, Sun Prairie. Then you need to see here, this is the Lake Mendota, Lake Manana. See here, we need to see that from this diagram, this is the extension of regional drive trains from downtown Madison. This is the downtown Madison where we have this. This is the downtown Madison. So from that we need to see that. So the drive time from these 5-minute drive time for limited access highway. Drive times from down Madison. See, 5 minutes drive time. This indicates that from downtown Madison to these areas will require the drive time is 5 minutes only. From this point up to this region, which will be required, the drive time is around 5 minutes only. From this downtown Madison, okay, we have this color, right? This color, this. From this point up to this region, up to these points, will be required the drive time is 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Next, this we have, right? Next, this color, this color. So if you want to go from this point to this region or this region or these regions, okay, which will be require 15 minutes drive time. 15 minutes drive time from this to these regions. Then the last, community center. This is the community center. These are all community centers. Okay. So the community centers, if you want to go from here to community centers, which will be require some minutes of time. So we don't know exactly. Okay, it will be require some minutes of time. Okay. Then next, 6th one, mapping change. We can map the change in a specific geographic area. We can map the change in a specific geographic area. So over a time, how we will able to change the map? with the help of a specific geographic area to anticipate future condition. We can map the change in a specific geographic area to anticipate future conditions, to anticipate future conditions, decide on a course of action. We need to decide on a course of action, or to evaluate the results of an action or policy. So we can map the change in a specific geographic area. We need to anticipate future conditions and decide on a course of action, or to evaluate the results of an action or policy. So we need to decide a course on what type of action we need to take for a course. Okay, and you need to evaluate the results also. We need to evaluate the results of an action or policy. For example, you have to see the below link. We see land below. We see land. Use maps of Barnstable. The MA showing changes. MA showing changes in residential development. MA showing changes in a residential development from 1951 to 1999. From 1951 to 1999. So you need to see the dark green show. The dark green shows that forest. Dark green shows the forest, while bright yellow shows residential development. You need to see that the dark green shows the forest. Dark green shows the forest, while bright yellow shows that residential development. Applications like this can help inform community planning process and policies. Applications like this can help inform community planning process and policies. You need to see the diagram for that. See, here we have a dark green, right? Bright yellow. So the dark green indicates that forest, and bright yellow indicates that residual. This bright yellow indicates the residual development. Okay, so this is the 1951 Barnstable land cover. This is 1999. This is the Brampton land cover. Here we have a residual development is more than 1951. So in the 1951 we have a forest region is more. Here we have the forest area is less. Here the residential development is increased more. See, compared to here. Okay, so this is the diagram.